And here we go in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050, WTKA online at WTKA.com. Sam Webb, Ira Wine Tribe on the other side of the county. And as I promised, the roundtable segment was going to happen, win or lose, for the Wolverines in the NCAA tournament. And by roundtable segment, I mean our NCAA tournament roundtable, which has been going on for years. They are with us now live on the video stream for those of you who want to join us on our YouTube channel at the Michigan Insider, over on Twitter at the Michigan Insider, our YouTube channel there, our Twitter Periscope channel, and then Facebook Live over on our Michigan Insider Facebook, WTK Facebook page. But you can join us via video. Charles Ramsey, former Michigan assistant, former Eastern Michigan head man, and now running the show over at Ypsi High. Rams, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm okay. Good to be here. Hopefully would be under better circumstances, but it's good always to be with you gentlemen.
All right. From the Athletic, Brendan Quinn. Brendan, good morning.
Well rested, ready to go, Sam.
Well rested. And Ed Feng from the Power Rank. Ed, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. I'm obviously disappointed with what happened last night, but it's a pleasure to be on with you guys. Love to pick your guys' brain, and I'm going to ask more questions than I'm going to answer. So,
well, guys, look, we spent the morning giving our takes on what happened in the game and why. So let's just start with you, Brendan. You were there, obviously. Just give me your biggest takeaways on this nail-biting loss for the Wolverines.
This one was from the whole thing was from the home office, Sam. And
okay,
let's hope we never say that again. But
right.
Traveling for Zoom access didn't quite fit the budget. So, yeah, I mean, man, it just was one of those games that everything UCLA could have scripted going into the night played out. Slow game, ugly game. Low possession game, low scoring game, and Michigan shot itself in the foot a little bit. You know, you can't turn the ball over on a quarter of your possessions. You can't miss half your free throws. And then you get a star performance from Johnny Juzang that, you know, will be remembered for a long time in one of this country's great college basketball programs. And that is some stuff that's going to be up there with Lou Alcindor and Bill Walton. Like, that was just a phenomenal performance. They got a great showing from their star. Michigan didn't, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, he carried them for stretches there, Rams, in the first half. They couldn't do anything with him. They did better in the second half. His ankle injury had something to do with it, but they ran him off the three-point line. They stayed connected with him on screens, and then they did something that's like, man, you got a dude who's going off like that against you on offense. Make him play some defense. And you saw Eli Brooks start to really attack him in the second half effectively at that. I thought that had something to do with slowing him down. But ultimately, he still made some big plays late, and Michigan didn't make any big plays down the stretch.
And you know, Brendan hit on some key points. And the biggest point is, if you've ever followed Mick Cronin, which I had the last 30-plus years, that was his sequential game plan. That's how he plays.
Yeah,
he wants it slow. He wants it ugly. He wants it low possession. And they dictated that. And I thought it was going to be an issue when I saw Tiger Campbell early on being able to just walk the ball literally up the court. And I kept on saying I was hoping at halftime that we would do something to speed up the pace of play. We have to speed up the pace of play. We have to do something to get them into, if nothing more than quick shots, turnover, something. Because when you play such a low possession game, all the things you guys talked about, turnovers, missed shots, they become that much more magnified because you're not getting very many opportunities. And, you know, as I said, it's funny how you dialogue with people. How does a team that averages 76 points a game get held to 49? That's 27 points below your average last time I checked. I think the other team and their game plan had a lot to do with that. And the lack of pace of play. You average 76 points a game. You're not playing slow. You're getting up and down the court. You're doing some things. We just didn't. I can't think of a time or a game this season where we saw Michigan play at this pace. Maybe you guys can help me. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, look at Mick Cronin, like you said, going back to his Cincy days, they muck it up like this. He didn't have a Johnny Juzang that you could ride the way that he rode him last night offensively that could, maybe, kind of carry you offensively for stretches like he did. But, Brendan, he mentioned a few things, man. I mean, things that had nothing to do with necessarily as much with the pace. I mean, some empty trips to the free throw line. I was like, man, what the hell? It's like this whole thing from
Sam,
again.
Sam, what you're saying, and this is what you need to understand, all those things are a result of this slow pace. You're not used to. So now when you go to the free throw line, you're a lot tighter than what you've been. All these things are a result of you not playing at your normal tempo. Trust me.
And 10 for 20 on layups in the game. All the layups that they missed.
I mean, they rushed layups. It was that's why we, as the famous Coach Green said, no, get the coach. This is why we play the game. This is why we play the game.
Right. Ed, what did you see, man?
Well, I mean, I completely agree with Coach. When you're the underdog like UCLA, you want to limit possessions. You want to take advantage of, variance. You're more likely to take advantage of variance when you have 59 possessions in the game, which is what KenPom has. So that's exactly right. Had Michigan gotten that up to 65 possessions, it's a one-possession game. Yeah, maybe they pull it out because they are the better team. I don't think anyone in this room is going to disagree with that. But, tip your hat to UCLA. They played a good game. Juzang was great. I don't think anyone on Michigan's team played well. I don't think anyone had a very good game. And they were right in it at the end. So, you'd love to see Franz hit one of those shots at the end. But, he's struggled with his jump shot. And I've had a big fight with Craig Ross about this over the last 2 years. And he was right. Franz has struggled with his jump shot. And I hope he gets in the gym this off season and works on that.
Yeah, it
wherever he ends up next year.
It certainly hasn't come to the fore. Like if you watched him at all in high school, and I don't want to make. I was not like I was in games in Germany. I just saw him at the NBA camp.
That's some scouting, Sam.
Yeah, I saw him at the NBA camp and was impressed with how he shot the ball there. But between watching how he shot the ball there, talking to the foreign scout that got him into the NBA camp, who recommended him for the NBA camp, and that was one of the things that they based that recommendation on. I was like, man, he really shoots the basketball well. He breaks his wrist. That sets him back some. I don't know how to explain it this year, but between his inconsistency shooting, he was at one point around 39, 40%. He finished the season around 35%, shot worse than that in the tournament. He's just his offense is not to the place where you can say, Franz, go get me a bucket. And so it was probably unfair for me to be like, hey, they're going to need him to be a guy that can carry them for stretches. He's just not there yet. That doesn't mean he's not a first round pick. That just means that he can't do what Sam did.
Sam, he's not there. He's not there. There's no way to rose color it, gloss over. And we talk about Juzang. People forget Juzang was at Kentucky. Juzang was a McDonald's All-American. Juzang is not somebody just showed up on the corner. He can play. He can flat out play. And players make plays. When they needed a big shot last night, I don't care if it was a three or off the dribble, he made a play. And that's what big time players do. I was kind of disappointed that Shawnee didn't touch the ball down the stretch. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I struggle. If that's my only, and Juwan probably would have fired me by now because I would have been yelling Shawnee, Shawnee, Shawnee from midpoint.
You're not the only one, Coach.
I mean, he has made big play after big play after big play and saved them. And so I was kind of baffled that he wasn't in the mix because he makes big plays.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember the configuration. This is why I think on that last play, I can't imagine taking a three, even with them going underneath the screen, was part of that play.
Right.
Because he had shot the ball so poorly that attack the rim. You obviously you're shooting free throws at a high clip, but attack the rim if you feel like they're converging on you. Kick it out to guys who've been hitting shots.
Well, but plus they kind of like the last play of the game, they kind of scripted what they were going to do because Hunter was inbounding the ball. So if you're going to try to get a 2 and just tie the game, you probably want to throw one up to him in the middle of the lane. But that clearly wasn't happening when he was.
And they were only down 1 at that time. Remember,
exactly.
Exactly. So I mean, what were you going to say, Brendan?
I think it's one thing that's worth noting is the way that UCLA was defending as well. Like they weren't leaving Shawnee Brown. They saw him make the same threes that we saw him make, and they realized that like he was one of the only options Michigan really had down the stretch, and they were not leaving him. And it's not like you can just suddenly start putting Sean D in ball screens and tell him to go create and get shots out of screens. Like he hasn't done that all year, right? Like that's not a thing. So if they're not going to leave him, it's a little hard to just dial him up.
Well, the one thing, Brendan, I think, and the reason I personally would have wanted the ball in his hands, I think he puts the ball on the floor well enough that if he was crowded, he could have ball fake, shot fake, and made a couple of dribbles to the bucket. And I like my chances with him, doing that and attacking. And then the other thing, it gets back to what Ed was saying. UCLA did a great job on that set. Mm-hmm. They really hedged out hard and said, that shot that Franz took was had to be a 25-footer. He wasn't even close. As soon as he let it go, I yelled short. And so
they never had a chance.
Yeah, I wish Mike Smith had attacked the basket. You got a guy one-on-one, you got to attack and get in the paint. You're in the double bonus. If you get touched at all, you're going to the line for 2.
Yeah, so, I guess I see that one more than I see the Franz shot. 6 seconds, clock's going off in his head.
I liked that shot by Mike Smith. The second, if you lose me. If the second that you saw Tiger turn his shoulders when he was going full length, and because Mike gave that little juke to the middle of the court, Tiger turned his shoulders. The second he saw that, I think he made the right decision to just get to the line and take that shot.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Get to the line. I agree with you, Brendan. When I saw him on the side, I'm going all the way.
Fair.
Because now you're at the advantage. You have your guy beat, so someone's going to have to help. Someone's going to have to help.
You also got the clock, Rams, and that's why I'm not going to be too hard on him for taking a good shot. He got a good shot.
Think about this, Sam. 6 seconds is an eternity. This is something that is practice. You can get from baseline to baseline in 3.5.
Sam,
it's done. This is practice. This is practice. He drove, took a shot. Ball was tipped. Michigan still had opportunity to get another shot.
They did.
So 6 seconds is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so
the Franz thing, though, you're coming out of timeout. You can't shoot a free. Let's be clear. They aren't there without Franz Wagner. And I think the treatment that he's receiving right now is unfair. But I don't think it's unfair to talk about that shot. And him taking that shot with how he had been shooting is just not a good decision, in my opinion. Got to get something going downhill. Got to force. You talk about force it. You get a foul there, go to the free throw line, man. Go to the free throw line. Or if they aren't leaving, all the more reason Brendan was talking about how they aren't leaving Shawty, man. So now they aren't going to help either.
I'm going downhill. I'm gonna force the officials to blow the whistle or not blow the whistle. And coming off the heels of what happened the night before, it sounds crazy, but what happened in the Baylor UConn women's game, official doesn't want to put themselves in that position again. So I'm going to force somebody to blow the whistle. That's just, I'm saying downhill, downhill, downhill.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to swallow because they had opportunities, man. I mean,
Oh, man,
even
so
after
many.
the air ball, Eli had a shot at the layup. They had to. I mean, they had 4 opportunities down the stretch. That none of them fell. So what are you gonna do? Franz even got.
That's one of the problems with
such
a low possession game, right? There's only so there's everything is magnified. Every miss, I hate to say, those 2 missed free throws by Mike Smith. It was a great play to get those free throws on the last play of the first half. Great play.
Yep.
And comes up empty. And those are 2 points that.
Well, and Hunter Dickinson
the combined score is 100.
Yeah,
Hunter Dickinson was 1 for 4 from the line as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a nice stretch in the beginning of the second half where he was getting the ball down in the post. And then I feel like he kind of missed the shot, and we went away from that. He went away from shooting, which I didn't particularly like, but it was a team thing.
They had him when they came out of the locker. They did a better job, of following the scout. And you could hear, and guys who weren't, you could even on the TV, you could hear them right shoulder, baseline.
Yeah.
I mean, they were calling out his move before he made it.
And he probably got away. Fortunately for Michigan, he got away with a charge, I thought. And when he charges with his big body, it's so obvious. They called a block that very well could have been a charge. I mean, they really had him play well. And, he threw in. He had it going so well. He threw one off the glass. And I said, there's no way in the world he called that. But he had it going well. So, and that's what happens.
Yeah. And one of those things, guys. So as we look ahead, let's talk about Franz, first of all. I mean, we all think he's going to the league, right? You guys change your opinion on that?
No.
Yeah, I haven't changed my opinion.
Let's just say about Franz, right? I mean, he wasn't that good taking things to the basket in the game last night, but he had an incredible stretch earlier in the season. I mean, he just destroyed Iowa going to the basket. Making 56% of his 2-point shots, which is pretty incredible for a wing player. So he's got a lot of things going. I mean, great defender too. So he's got a lot of things going in the right direction.
To do what?
Play in the NBA. Someone's going to give him a chance.
I'm not sold. So I'm
Are
not.
you sold though that someone will draft him?
Oh, somebody will draft him, but
That's all that matters.
Exactly. He's going to get paid.
Being drafted, if he's going for a paycheck. He's not going for playing time. He's not going to chart. Understand something. He's going to struggle mightily on that level with wing guys that he has to play against. He's going to struggle.
But not as much as the Merlin Moody.
Will he get drafted? Yes, he'll get drafted because the NBA is nothing more than a crapshoot. Their whole thing is, I will take a chance. If it doesn't work out, we go on to the next guy. It's business. Right. It's business.
He'll get paid. Look, he can get paid to develop in the G League. I think he's gonna be. I still think he's a first round pick, and I think some team, some good team, because he'll be later in the first round. Some good team will be able to park him in the G League to hopefully develop his game, get a left hand, get more consistent with his jump shot. And then maybe he can be a 3-and-D guy. Right now, I give him the D. I won't give him the 3.
One thought and one question for the group. The thought, one game does not, like I saw a lot of Michigan fans up in the mention, this game means that he won't be drafted or this or that. Like, if you think one game means anything like that, go watch Jordan Poole's last game versus Texas Tech. They stuffed him in a closet. He was still a first-round pick. Didn't matter. My question to the group is,
Brendan, hold that thought. And where's Jordan Poole at right now?
He's playing for the Warriors and getting buckets.
Parked where? In the G League.
No, he's not.
No, he is not anymore.
He's balling.
Oh, the G League season is over.
Yeah,
No,
but
he is playing and producing in the NBA right now.
Yeah, big point. Big games. But
big games.
Your point, he spent a lot of time in the G League to get to the point where he could be back with the big club playing like he's playing. It wasn't, get drafted in the first round and then go right away and start playing like he's playing now. So I think Franz will take the same. His arc will be the same.
But Brendan, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were making a point.
So my question to you guys would be: I don't watch that much NBA. Is his game any more befitting an NBA style than a Big Ten style?
Is it more befitting? I don't think. I think that he can be exposed more in the NBA.
In the NBA, exactly.
You know,
that's my point. NBA is an isolation type league, and I think it leads him to being exposed big time. Where he's gonna have to play and what he's gonna have to do, it's gonna lead to a lot of exposure. He's not that great knockdown type shooter. He's not the guy. He's just not gonna beat guys off the dribble and get to the bucket on the next level. It's just not gonna happen like that. So, you know,
he'll be at guard. When I say exposed, I mean he'll be exposed on the offensive end more. Defensively, I think he'll match up well with NBA wings. He has length. He has good anticipation. He's a plus rebounder at his size. I think he'll show up well out the gate defensively. Offensively, he will be exposed. You got it. You got to be able to shoot it better than he shoots it. You got to be able to go both ways. You know, Franz Killer going right. They are going to let you do that in the NBA. You better be able to go both ways. So he has some work to do. And he'll get paid first round money to do it. And that's a route that a lot of guys take. Like, man, I can work on my game full time and get paid to do it.
See, I'm not so certain he's a knockdown first round. I'm not certain. I don't think people are gonna go back. And if he is a first rounder, it's gonna be very, very late.
Yeah, right. He's 6'9". He can guard multiple positions. And he can put it on the deck some. I mean, I think that they'll look at that and see the potential. You know, NBA, you talk about how it's a crapshoot. They take crapshoots on potential all the time. That's why I think he'll still be first round.
I mean, compare his profile to Isaiah Livers, right? I mean, with Livers, you got a guy that can knock it down. Probably not quite as good on the defensive end. Probably not getting to the basket as well. I mean, Livers is going to be what, late round, early second round? Is that where we're projecting him right now?
It'll be interesting. In that range,
I worry about his
he is
health.
without question. He's without question a better shooter. Isaiah Livers can give you some. He can give you some post as well. And while Franz is a better defender, I think that the gap between Franz and Zay as defenders is smaller than the gap between Franz and Zay as shooters. I think Zay is a much better shooter. Much better.
I agree.
So,
but I mean, which one? I mean, who's the NBA going to take first, though?
Because I think they'll still go with Franz because potential, man, potential. He's a young sophomore, whereas Zay, he's in his fourth year. You kind of got a picture of what he is, and I think the NBA gets enamored with what you could be. I see Isaiah Livers. I see a lot of Sadiq Bey. He's not quite Sadiq Bey when it comes to putting it on the deck, but
not even close. Not even close.
But shooting it at that size and guarding at that size, what he doesn't have, he doesn't put it on the floor as well. But the other pieces is why he won't be drafted 19 like Sadiq was. But later in the first round, early second round, I can see Zay going there. Personally, Rams, I will defer to your expert opinion.
I just think if Isaiah goes, it'll be in the second round. It just is what it is. He has some things he does very well, and then he has some things that he really struggles with. And the other part of it is, let's understand, he was able to play a kind of 3-4 where he always had a mismatch every night. There will be no more mismatches on the next level. He's going to be playing against guys that are bigger, stronger, quicker at their natural position. So
he's going to be playing against some. He's going to see some Juzang.
So, yeah.
You'll see some Juzang out there.
Every night.
Juzang gave it to everybody who was on him last night. People kept saying, "Well, why don't I see Shondi on him more?" I mean, I thought everyone got
when Shondi did go on him, he got totally lost on that switch or screen and left him open twice. That you saw the bench lose its mind. Those 2 threes were huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought, that said,
Franz lost him on the switch on one of those threes too. He was supposed to switch out on him and didn't do it. So yeah, they were all off.
I would have also liked to have seen Franz used on him down the stretch, but that's me. It's easier in hindsight.
Yeah, tough one. So how about this one, guys? We got to get to a break. So ponder this question heading into the break. I ask it to the people. We will branch out. I'll get your final four takes. But if you had to choose one of these seniors who could take advantage of a COVID shirt, they all could, but I don't expect they all will. Let's, for the sake of argument, you had to choose one. Which guy would you choose? Ponder that question, and we'll get your answer on the other side here. Our NCAA Tournament Roundtable segment. More of that when we return here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, The Ticket.
Clear on the radio, and then when we come back, guys, Sam will take it to the top.
Sam, I hate that question.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of ifs in that question, Sam.
I hate the question because I'll be honest with you. I hate the rule in the spirit of the rule. I think it's the worst thing that the NCAA, it's called another knee-jerk reaction by the NCAA.
Why?
Because, well, let me finish. Number one, it impacts so much. You have graduating seniors that are enrolling in college. Okay. You have guys that are absolutely prostituting this rule. Okay. You have fifth-year guys that are leaving the schools that gave them a fifth year, going to play someplace else for a sixth year because of this COVID rule. It wasn't thought out well.
Okay, and so what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
That's not the spirit. You come to college to have an opportunity to play 4 years with the possibility of 4. It just everything. I'm more of a traditionalist.
Okay, so but what's wrong with a fifth-year guy going to another school for a 6th year? If that, especially that
goes against the spirit of amateurism. It goes against the spirit of college athletics.
Hey,
if we're gonna do that, let's just make college semi-pro.
You lost.
We're about to do that, Coach.
Yeah, man, look,
let's make it semi-pro.
We're about to do that.
The amateurism thing was lost on me a long time ago. I mean, you got $1 million administrators, Rams. $1 million administrators. Mark Emmert makes what, $3 million? You want to talk to me about amateurism? Come on, bro.
Mark Emmert is a crook and a buffoon.
Okay,
let's be honest.
But he's running the organization.
He's a crook and he's a buffoon, and it shows how he's being thrown to task how he handled the women's tournament. And I'm so glad that they dragging him under the coals.
Yes.
Over the coals. That's drag.
But I don't. The horse for amateurism is out of the barn already.
Oh, I say, it sounds great. It sounds great here, but if you're a coaching staff and you're sitting up and you're trying to put your board together, it's not as cut and dry. With number one, how are you paying for those extra scholarships?
Some schools aren't. Some schools aren't. Some schools aren't paying for them.
So I mean, there is a lot of. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hey, look. I have no problem with student athletes getting even more of a piece of the pie in this instance, getting more opportunity in this equation. I'm all for it. This was a year that was distorted by COVID. This was a year that was distorted by COVID. And if you have an opportunity to, if you can afford them the opportunity to have a final season that isn't affected by COVID, you should do that, in my opinion.
Brendan, I got a question for you. Did the Athletic give you another year on your contract? Did you get another year because of COVID?
I did not. Here's my take on it. I worry about this year's junior and senior high school classes and limited opportunity. I do think that that's going to be a,
It's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue.
There was a college basketball season last year, and I know it didn't end, and those guys didn't get an opportunity in the NCAA. but like I do worry if there's going to be a larger effect on some people not getting opportunities for the guys who are getting, but that's impossible to measure. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I go back and forth on. I don't give a shit about guys leaving schools or transferring or any of that stuff. But
yeah, well, to your point, listen, the portal is going to affect that. I mean, let's set aside fifth-year guys or seniors getting another opportunity. The portal for henceforth and forevermore will affect how many, the scholarship opportunities for high school
kids. Once again, one of the stupidest rules they ever came up with. As we sit here today, this morning, there are 975 kids in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
There probably ain't 975 spots.
Yeah, look,
it's not. Say it again. It's not that many spots.
Listen,
at all.
Then
back on radio in a little less than a minute, guys. Back on radio in a little less than a minute.
They're going to have to correct themselves. These kids, their parents and their coaches are going to have to think through this portal decision a lot more than they have been. And understand that when you go in the portal, your position where you're coming from isn't guaranteed anymore. So you better have a landing spot before you go in. But again, I'm on the side of the student athlete here because they should have the opportunity to move around. When coaches can do it, coaches can move around with impunity.
Sam. So once again, I'm gonna give you a quick analogy. When you asked your wife to get married, did she say, "I'll get back to you"? I'm gonna go check out the portal.
She might have. All right, guys.
I don't understand.
Guys, coming back on radio. Stand by for radio. Stand by for radio. Coming back, Sam, in 5, 4, 3.
All right. So we got to jump right back in with our roundtable segment. Brendan Quinn, Charles Ramsey, Ed Feng, and I put a question to you guys before the break. If you had to choose one of these seniors to return, understanding that they could all come back, and Michigan is in a position where they could afford to bring, if Austin Davis, Shawnee Brown, Mike Smith, and Eli Brooks all wanted to come back, Michigan could actually afford it. Some schools can't, right? That's not the only consideration. I mean, some schools are going to say, hey, I got some other guys on my roster ready to step into those roles, or freshmen coming in, so they might make the decision to move on for that reason. But assuming for the sake of argument that you had to choose one guy, one of those seniors to come back, which one would you choose? And we'll make Ramsey go last since he didn't like the question. So let's start with you, Ed. Ed, what's up? Who would you choose?
Well, so this is a loaded question for me because I need to know what Zeb Jackson's development is. So if he becomes a 6'5" lead guard that we can trust to control tempo, to be the lead guard that, we kind of thought, I know you guys were all high on him when he came in, then I'll take a wing. You can always use another wing like Shawnee Brown to come in, play defense, hit some threes. If Zeb Jackson's not going to turn into that guy, then I want Mike Smith back because he's a better than average Big Ten point guard. He did a solid job with the team this year, and you're going to need that presence. Okay. So for me, it's a big if.
All right. Brendan?
If I'm Michigan and I'm picking one, I'm taking Eli Brooks all day, every day. What he gives you defensively, what he gives you offensively, the cohesion that he brings the team. I don't think it's a question. If I'm one of those individuals, though, and I'm strongly thinking about it, the one that I might think about the most is Shawnee Brown. Just because, played a 6-man role. Suddenly all these wing minutes might be opening up with Franz going, Isaiah going, right? And suddenly you can come in and kind of be a little bit more of the man and certainly get more minutes, certainly get more consistent minutes, certainly get more shots up. I think he might have the biggest decision in terms of like trying to envision what it might be. Like Eli Brooks knows what it'll be if he comes back. Shawnee Brown, I think, probably has the hardest decision in terms of trying to figure out what it might look like if he does.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I'm Michigan, it's Eli Brooks. He shows you can run the team, he can shoot, he plays D, and he brings you leadership. So with a young backcourt, he can really help bring those guys along.
Mike Smith was also as good as he was because he was playing on a team with Franz and Isaiah Livers and Hunter Dickinson. And it's a little easier to do what he did this year as a ball screen point guard with that group, as opposed to a bunch of young freshmen and a younger team all around him.
Yeah, look, I love what Eli Brooks did too. I at one point thought that Eli Brooks' only option in this program was to transfer. If I'm not mistaken, Sam might have agreed with me at some point on that statement.
He's coming
along. Dead wrong. I love his game.
All right, so Rams, who would it be for you if you could answer that question? And you could also throw in why you don't like the question.
I don't like it because simple fact, I just don't. I believe in there's a natural progression. My question would be, with any of those guys staying, how does that benefit Michigan's program going forward? Where you are as far as bringing in, what is the vision of your program? And I guess Coach Howard is the only one that can answer that question. Is about building for the future, or we're trying to do it right now? Bringing back any of these seniors sends the message that we're trying to do it right now. And if for some reason we get to next year, you bring them back, and we don't do it right now, what have you done to the development of the young kids in the program that you could have, multiple seasons? So it's I have no favorite. I definitely think Shawnee Brown would not be back because I think he's going to be on an NBA roster. I think he's a guy that can guard a 1, 2, or 3. He can make a jump shot. All the things we were talking about Franz wanting to do, Shawnee can do. He's a man physically, and I think somebody is going to get a steal in the NBA.
So you make it sound like it's an either or scenario if one of those seniors, and I just threw that out there because I think Michigan's going to be active in the portal. I think they're, especially if those seniors go. I could see even if one of those guards comes back, how they might still be in the portal some. But why do you have to choose? If you bring Eli Brooks back, because this is how I envision, I think Frankie Collins is your starting point guard next year. I think it's Frankie Collins, and if you get Eli Brooks, Frankie Collins, Eli Brooks, your backcourt. And you got a guy who can not only help bring Frankie along, he can help with the development of your other guys, including Zeb. We'll see. I mean, the point guard piece of it is the work in progress for Zeb. But you're talking about a backcourt that would be so lacking in experience. Zeb didn't play a whole lot this year. And so you're going to have Zeb, Frankie, Kobe. Right? I mean, you need experience back there, and that experience can help grow those guys up. So why is bringing Eli back sending the message to those guys that you aren't about their development when bringing Eli back can help their development? I'm asking you, Coach.
I'm not with it. I would rather. I'm not with it. See, sometimes development. And you bring a good point about Zeb. I think if you ask the staff now, they probably wish they would have got Zeb more minutes early on. Zeb is not exactly just horrible. Zeb has a certain skill set. He's long. He can do some things.
Right.
Now it comes down into Zeb was more a product of rotation and coaches' desire to keep the rotation at a certain limit. I'm just one that, hey, I take my young guys and I throw them in the fire and I let them develop by playing, trial and error. That's my philosophy.
But you don't have to sacrifice contending, right? I mean, I think when you you say you're all about development.
Develop, let them play. But what makes you so sure or so certain? No, you just said contending. And my point is, what if these guys come back and you end up not contending? So now what have you done to the development of your young guys?
You should still have helped it though, because that's what a veteran like Eli Brooks would help you do.
We're throwing all this, and at the end of the day, Eli Brooks has to ask himself, is this something I really want to do?
Yeah, which he is. He said that last night in the press conference. He said, I talked it over with my family, haven't made a decision yet. It's still up in the air.
And something worth remembering, these guys didn't have a senior year, really. They weren't with their friends. They didn't get to play a normal year of college basketball in filled arenas and all that. Like, for what it wasn't, right? None of us felt right. And a guy like Eli Brooks, like, he didn't get to play. He didn't get to hang out with his normal friends and stuff like that. Like, that should be weighed in that these guys have decisions that go beyond just to play or not to play, or to go pro or not to go pro.
Brendan, you hit the nail on the head. If all of a sudden Eli's friends are departing from campus, from the team, and he looks around like, I don't want to be a babysitter.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be a pro. I'm not going to be a pro. Why not? I think Eli may end up coaching.
And then all the more reason to come back.
I think he may end up coaching.
Do your Juwan Howard turn.
He could transition right from player coach into that Jerron Simmons spot when Jerron Simmons moves on in 22-23. I can see that playing out.
Or play this final season the way Juwan Howard played his final season with the Heat, really dialed into the coaching aspect of it. I mean, you can spin it that way, but to me, it's a no-brainer if he wants to come back that you bring him back. And I personally think it was a great move for NCAA. I rarely will you hear me say this, but it was a great move for them to extend the eligibility of these kids. And if the schools that they're at don't have a place for them, which, to your point, Rams, you said, if it's me, I don't have these guys back. That's fine. They don't come back for you. Let them go play for someone else then. What's wrong with them going to play at another school that says, I got a spot for Eli Brooks to come in and play for me? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Well,
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Nothing.
Well, and Sam, I mean, with the system, right? It is what it is. We're not going to change that, and I think it gives an intelligent man like Juwan Howard a way to get an edge for next year, because I think he's going to figure it out to advantage.
Yeah, the coaches that do the best moving forward will be the ones that really know how to to augment their rosters with portal guys. You can't just take
guys. I have one for you.
Effectively.
I have one for you.
Shoot.
We're down to our final four. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Out of the four teams, how many players do you think on these teams are portal guys?
Jusang was a transfer, wasn't he?
Transfer, correct. Not portal. Transfer. There's a difference. There's a difference. Transfer. He went to Kentucky at the end of his freshman year and said, I'm leaving. Wasn't a portal guy. See, there's a difference.
What's the difference?
Why is there a difference? I don't understand. Explain.
If you guys can't, he was what I would call, Juzang was a traditional transfer, is what I would call it. He was not happy at a place. He was a freshman. He left after his freshman season. He wasn't a fourth, fifth year guy that's going to the next destination. It's not a Eli Brooks situation we're talking about. It's not a grad transfer that we're talking about. He left after his freshman year. But once again, you didn't get back Gonzaga. How many portal guys does Gonzaga have?
Nembhard right, is not a Gonzaga guy. Nembhard wasn't he at Florida?
He's a transfer.
What's the difference? Rams? I don't get the difference, man.
Nembhard, as I recall, had to sit out a year. He transferred to Gonzaga, sat out, and then played.
But I don't get the point. So
I think Coach is trying to say the teams in the Final Four are not getting 1 year, 1 year guys to help them get to the Final Four.
What difference does it make that they had to sit out versus they don't? Why does that change the script?
He's trying to make the argument about 1 year rentals at the end of their career and the effect on the Final Four.
Thank you. Do you want a rental?
Does Michigan go to the Elite Eight without Mike Smith and Shawnee Brown? Does Michigan win a Big Ten championship?
Probably not.
Definitely not.
Probably not. But
oh man,
that's once again. And I can't Baylor, they may have 1 or 2 transfers.
And by the way, Nembhard did not sit out. He transferred. He played at Florida in the 2019-2020 season.
Oh, there you go.
He was the first wave. He was the first wave of the and I remember Mark Few saying he did not know how this was going to work out because this was brand new.
It worked
out great.
No, just for the record, Charles, I love you, but every player that transfers has to go into the portal. Every player that transfers goes through the portal.
That's the rule.
They're all the same now.
Ira.
They're all the same now.
Ira, we understand that. Thank you. That you didn't blow us away with something brand new. You didn't blow us with a brand new. But thank you for trying.
I'm waiting for you to explain to me what the difference is. A guy that wants to transfer, a guy that wants to transfer. You haven't explained the difference to me, Rance.
What I hear is,
and by the way, Brendan blew you up when he said that Michigan wouldn't have been where they are now without the 2 senior transfers.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He gave his point of view. That's what he did, and I respect that.
What I hear is you like the traditional aspect of if you transfer, you sit out a year. You survey the area, you learn the system.
Number one, I think kids should not have to sit out. Coaches don't have to sit out. Number one. I don't like the throwing. What I'm struggling with is the COVID year now. To Brendan's point, with the junior and seniors in high school, I think you're going to get at some point, there's going to be a huge backlog, and we're going to go through a couple of years of just chaos.
Yeah,
because of what you said, everybody can't afford to pay for all these kids to go to school.
You're absolutely right. And what it means is there's going to be a correction here, a portal correction, because we're going to see all these stories about kids who went in the portal and never landed anywhere.
Absolutely.
And so they lost their scholarships where they were because those schools don't have to guarantee them no more. And now they're just left out there in limbo. And those stories are going to color the decisions of the kids and parents and coaches that come after them and say, hey, look, before we do this portal thing, we better be real sure that we have someplace else to go. It's going to take some heartache. It's going to take some hard luck stories to send that message. Because everything right now, the portal is the solution to everything. Coach benched me. I'm second string. I'm transferred.
Well, how about this?
It's going to calm down eventually.
How about this one, Sam? My phone this week has been going crazy. Texts from coaches. You have player of the year. Now, if a kid is player of the year in his conference, played 4 years at that university, graduated, he should be able to go and do whatever. You have those leaving. But then you have the kid that was at University A for 3 years. The coach got fired. So he goes to University B, has a great season, graduate. Now he's looking to go to University C. Like, son, what are you looking for?
Hey, man,
what are you looking for?
Hey, this is America, Rams.
No, we know that. And it goes back to the parents, the coaches, and the kid. At some place, you're going to have to deal with whatever the blowback is.
Well, look, to me, the kid should have the opportunity to sink or swim. I mean, this is not going to work out for some kids, and it should color the decisions moving forward about how readily they go into the portal, how readily they look at that as a solution to the issues versus, hey, maybe I'm in the best spot right now. Maybe I shouldn't compromise this position that I'm in on a maybe. We're going to see that. We won't see it this year, but eventually it'll happen.
Let's not act also like the same way that players make poor choices in the portal, that coaches aren't going to be doing the same thing. How many coaches are you going to see in the third or fourth year of their deal saying, they're about ready to cut me loose. I got to bring in some new guys and suddenly bringing in all types of new players, all this development that Rams is talking about of the natural progression of things that goes out the window when coaches need dudes and they're going to go fishing in the portal and bringing in guys just to get
what happens,
wins and a new contract.
And you know what happens, Brendan, and this is another big contingent, and it doesn't happen on the Power 5 level, but you have these mid-major coaches that right now all their best players are getting rated.
Absolutely. Recruited right off
their players, people are swooping down and just rating the mid-major level of college basketball. So you like, to your point, you luck up and you do a great recruiting job. You get a freshman, he has a great year. Oh boy, you got to worry about now somebody swooping down and taking. And it's happening.
A guy like Bill Cohen, Bill Cohen gets Tyson Walker, right? Dude has no right being at Northeastern. Was going to be the player of the year in that conference as a junior and a senior. Probably take them to the NCAA tournament. Now he's at Michigan State. Bill Cohen sitting there saying, well, that was a great recruiting job by me. I hope they remember it when it comes time for my next extension.
It's exactly. They're not going to remember that you had him and he left. They're going to, all the administrators going, well, why did he leave? Why do you think he left? You know, and so I say that to say kids are going to have to also find out that the grass, your neighbor's grass may be greener, but they may be also paying a higher water bill. And I think you're going to have some stories like that for this thing to correct itself, like Sam was saying, that the grass is not always greener because it's greener. You know, sometimes that guy is paying a higher freight to get that greener grass.
I'd be remiss if I didn't revisit a topic that we talked about the last time. Well, first, let's talk Final Four. Does Gonzaga win it all? I mean, I figure this is a quick conversation. Gonzaga win it all, guys?
Yeah, I actually like the idea of Houston making them earn it in the final game with their defense. But yeah, Gonzaga, I mean, look what they did to USC. And that's a good USC team. They made them look like the junior varsity.
They are something special that people won't appreciate. They play basketball as pure as you can play it, and they're good at all facets. I mean, and my thing is, you're gonna have to have your best night, and they're gonna have to have off night, in my opinion. And the scary thing is, I don't know if they've hit full cylinder yet. I still think they have another level they can hit, which is scary.
Well, Mark Few is going to be talking to Coach here about up-tempo pace against UCLA, so not going to be an issue there.
Oh no, and that's the other thing. They're not going to let you control the pace.
Oh, and they got multiple guys. They got multiple guys that can go get you a bucket. Multiple guys. So, Brennan, Gonzaga?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I got to ask you guys this question before we leave because we talked about it last time. So since then, Indiana has hired a coach. And they said part of the inspiration was Juwan Howard and the job he's done at Michigan. They think that they have some similarities there with Mike Woodson. Do you see those similarities? What do you think of the Mike Woodson hire? Each of you has like 45 seconds, starting with you, Brendan. Starting with you, Ed.
So I was initially like, what are you trying to do? This is not Juwan Howard. He's way older in his career. I did look back at Mike Woodson's NBA coaching career, and both Atlanta and New York got better during his time there. So we'll see.
Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, this idea of, hey, we will find similar resumes and then replicate what Michigan did, I think is foolhardy and kind of nonsensical because this team can't be replicated at Michigan, right? Like, look at the unique pieces on this team. That just doesn't happen. So, I like the hire in that it's different. Indiana needs to do something different. I like that the Big Ten will look different with this hire, and I want to see what his staff is before I give a grade on the hire. But I think it's worth a shot.
Rams?
Great hire. No connection to Juwan, other than he's an alum and he played there. But when he played there, he played on some of the greatest teams that ever come through there. And I think Indiana is trying to grasp some of their historic tradition. And, you hear Bobby Knight commenting because now guess what? You have one of Bobby Knight's guys who is actually running the show. I think the first one actually. So they're trying to reconnect. To Brendan's point, it's all going to come down to staffing and recruiting at the end of the day. I think he's a great coach. So, staffing and recruiting. And we go from there. And Brendan, I love the change in color that the Big Ten has added.
Damn straight. Damn straight.
I mean, we're just, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Micah and Ben. Yeah, we've definitely seen them
overdue in this league
with the times. So, all right, that'll do it for the show, fellas. Great roundtable again, as always. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you folks on the screen for checking us out. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, The Ticket, the official voice of University of Michigan Sports, Ann Arbor, a Cumulus station.